Right now on the National Weather Desk, countdown to hurricane season, why a potential super El Nino could mean fewer big storms.
Sinking air instability, that leads to high pressure, and overall, that does mean there's likely less hurricanes.
Plus, we'll set the record straight when it comes to hurricane myths.
The next common myth is that a hurricane threat is only about wind speed.
The ongoing drought gets even worse in many states. Farmers are worried.
I haven't witnessed it this dry in April ever.
And states are taking action to protect the dwindling water supply.
I've never seen the river this low and our water supply in such short supply.
Plus the new technology that could help fight wildfires that doesn't use a drop of water.
It seems like magic, but it's just physics.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Jordan Evans. Hurricane season begins just 4 weeks from today, and how active it gets may hinge on one key factor, the possible development of Super El Nino. That's the climate pattern that increases sea surface temperatures in the Pacific, and that disrupts weather around the globe. As meteorologist AJ Mastrangelo explains, it could help prevent tropical storms from developing.
We're kind of in between La Nina and El Nino. However, a rapid transition to El Nino is now kind of ongoing right now. So let's take a look at sea surface temperatures. Of course, these are warmer down by the equator, but that's not really an important aspect. The aspect that's most important is the anomaly, or kind of how different from average our sea surface temperature is. And as you can see here in the Northeast, the Northern Atlantic, some crazy things going on. But down here by the equator, right where we kind of measure those temperatures for El Nino or La Nina, we are seeing above average temperatures starting to change. Now, if we do get that sea surface temperature anomaly over 2 degrees Celsius, then it'll officially be a super El Nino. Recent ones that have occurred back in 2015 alongside 97 and 98, a longer one there. And it does have a significant impact on global weather, especially across the Pacific and even here in the eastern United States. Why? Well, there's potential for robust precipitation and temperatures. As you can see here, the probability is pretty much as high as they can get here for the middle of the summer season, even into the early parts of the fall for this setup. And when we have an El Nino, it's warm and wet in the equatorial Pacific region. I was just talking about those above average temperatures, and that does translate here into the Caribbean and the Gulf. Sinking air instability, that leads to high pressure, and overall, that does mean there's likely less hurricanes that we'll be seeing here throughout the rest of the season. So, of course, we have seen lots in the way of activity for the Atlantic hurricane basin in recent years, not looking like the case with the potential development of this super El Nino.
Drought conditions have gone from severe to extreme in parts of the mid-Atlantic. That includes Virginia, where farmers say it's the worst they've seen in decades. As Wayne Coville reports, the dry conditions are pushing their operations to the financial brink.
I planted these beans April 1st, and once they came up, they have not gotten any bigger with no rain.
And that no rain is causing problems for farmers across the Commonwealth.
If you look at the state drought monitor, the whole state is pretty much in trouble.
Billy Bain is a well-known and a long-established farmer in Virginia. He's testified in front of Congress 6 times on behalf of agriculture. At 81 years old, 2026 marks his 58th year planting crops here in Dinwiddie County.
You know, we had to stop planting because it's so dry.
Andy says it's one for the history books.
In my opinion, it's the worst ever. We always use 1980 as a benchmark for a terrible drought.
Combining a lack of rain, high input cost, and low commodity prices, Billy says farmers are hurting. Rain could help quench some of the pain. Billy Bain says these soybeans didn't have enough moisture in the ground to stand a chance.
This field we're in right now is going to have to be replanted, and it looks like maybe 1 or 2% have come up. You see plants like you got a plant here, and you skip 18 inches, and then you got 3, and in that period we should have had 20 plants, and we only have 4.
As for their 1,000 acres of corn,
I haven't witnessed it this dry in April ever.
As for this cornfield, Billy's grandson Aaron says,
yeah, just looking to see if there's some moisture. There's a little bit in this ground because it's had some deep tillage this year. But I mean, it's not enough to make a seed come up. It's just powder dry. There's nothing to it.
And if a lack of rain isn't bad enough,
This field got a little bit of frost damage.
and the hay planted to support the farm's cattle,
Well, the dry weather shortened it. We should have had our first cutting of hay in the barn, but it's out there, you know, the growth is about a third of what it should be.
crews spent much of Thursday morning working on equipment to plant peanuts. But peanuts need the rain just like the other crops. Double B farms could irrigate, but free pond water actually costs money to use since it takes electricity or diesel fuel to run the pumps.
It's very costly per day, especially when you're looking at diesel fuel prices.
All of Utah also faces severe and extreme drought conditions. Now, one city is worried water could run out by August, leading officials to make some tough decisions. Natalie Wattis reports.
Every community is in the same boat. This isn't just a Kaysville issue. And I think people need to understand just how realistic the possibility is that irrigation is not available, what that's going to mean for landscaping.
The record low snowpack has Kaysville warning residents to prepare for the possibility that irrigation water runs out by mid-August if conservation efforts aren't made.
This is unprecedented.
Part of the plan to save water is to focus watering on communal spaces like the cemetery and athletic fields and to close the splash pad for the season. What do you think about the splash pad not opening for the summer?
I think it's really sad.
Many community members responded to the city's post with questions, and I brought some of those up to the city.
Why is the cemetery being prioritized?
I think in general, places where you're going to see a lot of community gathering, athletic fields, you're going to have a large volume of people coming to one place to utilize the area. I think the cemetery would be the same thing.
Can the city modify hours for the splash pad instead of shutting it down completely?
So that's being talked about with council right now of, you know, what are the options if there are any. Obviously shutting down the splash pad is a worst case scenario.
I know, like, me and my family, we come every summer to the splash pad and stuff like that, but I think it's necessary for us to conserve water.
The city says they're trying to balance being responsible while still providing amenities.
We're not trying to make life miserable for people.
Drought conditions in Colorado are leading one county to cut back on water consumption. Spence Breed explains they are warning that public places and parks will look a little different this summer.
They're saying this is the worst drought in 130 plus years, and I'd believe it. I've never seen the river this low and our water supply in such short supply.
Because of the dry weather, Mesa County is reducing irrigation and domestic water consumption, lowering their water usage by up to 80%.
We have never seen anything like this, and I've been here 21 years with the Parks Department.
This means some parks won't even have their water systems turned on, while others will be watered significantly less. At the same time, many downtown landscapes around buildings will see little to no water.
Across the board, we're working on sprinkler adjustments. We're reducing watering frequency to once every 10 to 14 days.
The limited water that is used will be focused on areas that are used a lot, like athletic fields.
Water is important for the safety of the fields, or actually it's the safety of the players. But we have to maintain a soft playable surface, and under drought conditions, they can become too hard and compact to play on.
They'll also prioritize watering trees and shrubs over grass.
We're going to make sure they stay alive because those are assets that are hard to regrow. Grass I can regrow in one season, so this year may look rough, but next year everything will be back to beautiful.
County officials say this will leave more water for things like agriculture.
They need water. Water is their lifeblood. You know, water inside our parks is a recreation. It's something that we enjoy doing. It's something that's important to people, but it's not necessarily an economic driver like the agricultural industry is.
And coming up on the National Weather Desk, we'll look at how firefighters in California are using sound to fight wildfires. It will better help you understand the different types of lightning. As we head to break, we also take to the skies over Sydney, Australia.
This is meteorologist Hannah Sheehy with a look at the Northeast. We will be having a pleasant Monday to start the work week. We're going to see a mixture of sunshine and clouds across much of the Northeast. We may even see a rain shower or two in the mountains of Maine. Otherwise, we're going to be having a mix of sunshine and clouds for much of the start of the work week. A little breezy as well. Temperatures on Monday will climb into the 60s across the north and 70s as you look into southern New England. 71 in Boston, 73 in Albany, and in New York as well.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Bailey. Here's a look at the mid-Atlantic region. We're going to be looking mostly dry heading in the next couple of days. One front that's on the way will likely wash out, not giving us really any precipitation. Beautiful weather, but we will see temperatures warming up dramatically before we see a much bigger front approaching going into Wednesday and Thursday, bringing some rainfall. So going into your Monday afternoon, middle 60s in the mountains, but it'll be in the 70s everywhere else, and we are likely going to hit the 70s and 80s heading into Tuesday.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Collins with a look at your southeast forecast. Mild conditions for the Carolinas into your Monday with temperatures running in the 70s, mid-80s across central and south Florida, near normal for this time of the year. High pressure remains in control for the start of the week for most of the southeast, leaving the weather pattern dry and sunny. Chance for a few showers there in South Florida across West Palm Beach and Miami-Dade County area. As we head into Tuesday, a few more showers for South Florida, otherwise dry for the Carolinas with mostly sunny sky.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
A cavalcade of clouds, these with iridescence. When sun or moonlight passes through clouds and the light diffracts, small ice crystals or water droplets make that happen and scatter the light. And on a different day, these clouds keep it moving seemingly in perpendicular directions after earlier rain ends.
Want to see your weather photos and videos on TV? Click Chime In on this station's website to share.
As hurricane season approaches, now is the time to prepare, but there are some common myths that can make hurricane prep a little confusing. Meteorologist Jennifer Collins separates fact from fiction.
As we head into hurricane season, there's a lot of information out there and a lot of misinformation. Let's clear up some of the most common hurricane myths. Starting with myth number 1, seasonal outlook numbers tell you how dangerous hurricane season will be. Fewer storms mean a safer season. More storms always means more U.S. impacts. That's not necessarily true. Landfall is what matters. It only takes one storm hitting the U.S. to make it a destructive season. In 1992, only 7 storms formed. One of those was Hurricane Andrew, which impacted South Florida as a Category 5 storm. Meanwhile, some very active seasons produce little or no U.S. landfall. The next common myth is that a hurricane threat is only about wind speed. Here's the fact. Large or slow-moving storms can produce storm surge, major flooding, tornadoes, and hazardous marine conditions, even without major hurricane winds. This goes along with the next myth. Living inland means there's less risk from tropical storms and hurricanes. Inland areas may not get direct impacts from storm surge, but from flooding and tornadoes. Slow-moving storms can produce heavy rainfall, causing street and river flooding well away from the coast in the center of a storm. Tornadoes can also occur in the outer bands of hurricanes. In 2024, Hurricane Milton produced 3 EF3 tornadoes over the Florida Peninsula, 2 in our area. The bottom line, hurricanes don't need big seasonal numbers or major wind ratings to cause major damage. One storm is all it takes. Have a plan and prepare every season.
Thank you, Jennifer. Hurricanes rarely produce lightning because they lack the vertical winds that cause the friction between the ice crystals and the water droplets, which in turn produces an electric field. But there are some different types of lightning that we can see. Meteorologist Sharon Ray shows us the difference.
Well, it's been an active April, and with thunderstorms comes lightning. Take a look at this lightning video. This was taken by Kelly Stickney in Eldon earlier this week of a cloud-to-ground lightning strike. And certainly, these are the most deadly type of strikes. But there are many ways that you can get struck by lightning. Let's take a look at some of these. And first of all, this is the cloud-to-ground strike. This is a direct strike, which we call it, when the main lightning channel comes down and hits the highest object. This can be a person, and it is the most deadly form of lightning strikes, and mostly in open areas. That's why you never want to be the tallest object and when lightning is coming in out in a field or open area. Okay, that's a direct strike, but you can also have what we call a side strike. In fact, this side flash is when you have the lightning bolt coming down, it hits an object, and then the current jumps to the nearest object. This side flash can happen when, let's say, if a person is within 2 feet or so of a tall object that is struck, you could be struck by lightning, and that is called the side flash. Then we also have conduction. What is that? Well, when the lightning strikes an object, and if there's metal, that can travel long distances along that conductive material. And this is most common in indoor lightning fatalities. This can happen in plumbing and in wiring, and it's called the conduction when the lightning does strike and it travels through those metal objects, and it can, of course, strike you if you are touching or near one of those metal objects. Also, we do see ground currents, and this is the most common way that we see lightning strike people. Why? Because it covers such a large area. Lightning can strike an object, that charge goes down into the ground, and then it spreads out. And that area could be affected by that lightning charge. And again, this covers a large region, so it's usually the most causes the most deaths and injuries is due to the ground current. So just some of the ways that you can be struck by lightning, and that's why we always say, when thunder roars, go indoors. And did you know that lightning can strike within 30 miles of a thunderstorm? So anytime you hear thunder, it's best to get indoors.
Massive wildfires are forcing engineers to reconsider firefighting and prevention. Liz Gonzalez shows us a company that says space technology can be used to protect lives and property, and this solution doesn't even require water.
Flames from these 3 burning bushes should spread to the shed. After all, it's just inches away. But instead, they get snuffed out. Not with water, but with sound.
You have to see it to believe it.
The technology sounds straight out of a sci-fi movie, but it is being produced by Sonic Fire Tech.
Our focus is fire. It's the most destructive element that we've seen in California. Our former NASA engineers are rocket scientists, and they say it seems like magic, but it's just physics.
In order for a fire to burn, you need fuel, heat, and oxygen, and this technology targets oxygen. In a home application, a sensor detects a fire, alerting the homeowner, activating a generator box outside, producing waves, and sending them through a ducting system, reaching up to 30 feet away from a home.
To vibrate the molecule of oxygen at a rate that breaks the chemical reaction. This is an opportunity to think about what works.
For Hotchkiss, the mission is personal. He grew up in Altadena.
My former home burned down in Altadena. I was there that night evacuating friends and family. And just to see the devastation that occurred on that community level while transformers were exploding and hoses were running out of water pressure. In that moment, I was realizing there needs to be a different way we approach this.
This works independent of power and water, and it's already caught the attention of firefighters.
I don't think it's fair to rely on first responders to do that work alone without the tools that the future requires.
Crews from San Bernardino and Los Angeles among those testing out a backpack version of the system. Now, utilities are taking note too, as this can help in the time between detection and response. As families rebuild in Southern California and beyond, the State Insurance Commissioner's Office says technology will be key.
The research really shows that once that fire got into the community of Altadena and Pacific Palisades, it just moved house to house. Homes then become the fuel for the fire. Technology, innovation have an absolutely critical part to play in protecting people from wildfires. We are learning more every day about what makes communities safer.
Hotchkiss says Sonic Fire Tech even has versions for inside the home.
You know, stovetop fires are 40% of home fires across the country, and water sprinklers spread those grease fires.
The cost around 1 to 2% of a home's value, resulting in protection that's potentially priceless when it matters most. All thanks to scientists studying the stars and beyond.
They've been spending 15 to 20 years of their career focused on these outer worldly problems, and it's amazing that we get to bring those solutions to Earth.
And now time for a short break, but first we take in views of Snoqualmie Falls in Washington State.
Well, good Monday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Phil Kelly. Definitely a warm and humid air mass over much of the region. We'll see a cold front start to slide through over the next 48 hours, and that'll bring rain showers, some colder temps as well. 53 on Tuesday, Minneapolis, wet into the Ohio Valley, and those cooler temperatures continue through the middle of the week with these below average temperatures.
Good Monday morning, everybody. I'm meteorologist Stella Sun. A ridge of high pressure will continue to strengthen and bring warmer than normal temperatures across the Pacific Northwest. Meanwhile, shower and storm chances will linger in parts of Nevada. Daytime highs are dropping to about 73 degrees later today in Salt Lake City, in the 80s from Vegas through Boise, 64 later today in San Francisco, and notice Seattle and in Portland climbing into the upper 70s.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
In Maine, it's herring runs across the state. Meteorologist Hannah Sheehy tells us more about this migrating fish.
Let's first discuss how herrings migrate. This migration typically occurs between mid-May to mid-June in Maine, depending on water temperatures and river flow, but can begin as early as April in southern New England. Herring migration is an important part of our ecosystem, providing food to osprey and bald eagles around this time of year. Herring runs are located across Maine's coastline, and there are many observation sites where Mainers can watch herring make their way through fish ladders. Fish ladders are installed along many herring runs where dams or natural drops would otherwise block their path upstream. These structures create a series of small steps or pools, allowing the fish to gradually work their way past obstacles and continue toward their spawning grounds. So are herring runs the unofficial start to spring? In many ways, yes. Herring respond to warming ocean waters, signaling that inland ice is gone and stream flows are high. But there are many other signs of spring, and what counts as the start of spring is really up to you. Personally, hearing spring peepers is when I know it's really here. These natural cues all point to the same thing, that spring is truly underway.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm meteorologist Jordan Evans. Make it a great day. We'll see you back here tomorrow.